All right, so we are live with Dave Chesson of Kindleprenuer. Why don't we just get started here? We've known each other for a while. Just tell the people a little bit about yourself and what you're up to these days.
Yeah, sure. Well, so I'm Dave. I used to be in the military. As a matter of fact, it was during that time I was deployed in South Korea that I started to look at this whole online thing and trying to look for a side business or something that would be an exit strategy for me to get out of the military. That's about when Ryan and I actually got connected. We were almost in that class, shall we say, of where we were learning, asking questions, et cetera. And for me, I started building niche websites, and I got to this point where I was like, I'm only making like a couple $100s from all this work from Google AdSense. And from there, I started to ask myself, well, how can I maybe make more out of what I've already done? And that's when I started learning about Amazon and self-publishing books, and how Amazon was kind of like a search engine itself, where, people type something in and Amazon chooses what they show people. And if they show you at the top, you get more sales. So I really started to combine that, started self-publishing, really seeing some major success from that. And because of all the things I learned from there, I created Kindleprenuer.com, my main website, teaching people all about advanced book marketing. While I was doing that, I also developed a software called Publisher Rocket. Back in the day, it was actually called KDP Rocket, but we changed it because we're now not just Amazon. We're working with Barnes & Noble and iTunes and other markets. So we couldn't have an Amazon-centric name. And I was able to make more than enough money to get out of the military. And I now live here in Nashville, Tennessee,
Nice.
with my family.
So we're writing a book right now. Finally hired a writing company to help us out with this because I knew I was never going to get it done. But it's basically about like the SEO process for agencies, right? Like strict processes they can implement to scale their SEO across clients, right? How should we frame that? Like, so I know your software helps with this, but like, do we start the keyword research process like now when we're still writing the book? Is there anything within the book that we have to change to get it to where, like, is Amazon actually understanding the contents of the book? And does that factor into like ranking in Amazon, or is it all just title and reviews?
Well, there are three reasons or three phases, I guess, in where you should do keyword research for Amazon. The first is before you write the book. Okay, this gives you an idea of validation. You may have in your mind that, oh man, I want to write this book on this. And you can do your keyword research, say use Rocket, and find out that, well, quite frankly, nobody is searching for that kind of book. Nobody's going to Amazon and actively searching for something that will bring up your book. That does not mean that you can't write that book. It just means that you cannot depend on Amazon to sell it for you. So this kind of helps you to kind of gauge the level of proactive shoppers in finding your book. Now, if say you did your keyword research, you find out, darn, nobody's looking for SEO for agencies or something like that, right? Then again, like I said, it doesn't mean don't write the book, but it does mean that your marketing plan should be more focused, not on organic sales, but more in proactive sales. So that's Amazon ads, Facebook, email, your autoresponder with your email list. Those sorts of things are going to be way more important for you to see any success than it is of just publishing and hoping that Amazon sells it for you. It can help to kind of temper some of those things. Another thing about that keyword research beforehand, though, is that it may help you to tweak your book so it does fit within an existing market, or it may help you to idea generate and find something that really does help to serve you in your ultimate goal, but make it a lot easier for you since you know there's a market for it. An example of this was back in the day, I was really interested in writing a book on Evernote and how I use that to collect my notes. And it was hot at the time. I mean, everybody was writing books on it and a lot of people were buying them. The problem was that I was not a good enough marketer at the time to be able to write a all-encompassing book on Evernote and publish it and get to the front. I didn't have a following. I was going to have to fight the idiots guides and the whatever his last name, Kelly, who was like, he was so good at it that he actually got hired by Evernote. Like, I'd have to beat those guys and Steve Scott. Good luck with that. So I did my research and I found out that, okay, yeah, I can't beat them and I can't go after that giant market. However, though, there are actually people typing into Amazon every day, Evernote for students, Evernote for writers, Evernote for project managers. People were looking for something that fit their demographic. And so for me, all I had to do was write that book. And since it was the only book on it, I was the one. I made those sales. It wasn't as big as ranking #1 for Evernote, but it did do a couple things. One, I made every one of those sales because I was the only one. And number two is that I was able to write the book for that market. So instead of trying to reach everybody, I went for the one existing market, and I could write a better book. Another thing that this can do, so that's phase one, which is research, your idea. The second thing, though, is help you to write a better book. A while ago, I was working with an author, and she was writing a book on how to sell art. Cool. However, we did our research and we found out that there were actually more people typing into Amazon how to sell art online than just typing in how to sell art. And she was like, holy crap, I wasn't even going to write about online marketing. She was just thinking traditional. Now imagine what would have happened for her if she had sold that book. Okay, like people just assumed it was about online marketing. And how many 1 stars would she have gotten? How much disdain would it have received? So she was actually able to change the title. She changed the content. She made the content more about online sales than the traditional manner, and made traditional kind of the back end. She even created a PDF where it was the content upgrade specifically for best platforms to sell art online. Click here to download that. And so she saw huge email subscribers from it. So it can help you to write a better book and understand where the market is in Amazon a bit better. And then finally, like we're talking about, is keywords and ranking. So when you go to publish, you're going to have to choose your 7 Kindle keywords, which is your way of telling Amazon. It's that metadata that none of us do in Google anymore, but it's still huge in Amazon. You have to submit your 7 keywords, and from there, Amazon indexes you for those. And then there are other tactics to help you rank better for those. So,
which we'll get to in a moment, but that's super helpful actually, because so this book started as really, it's kind of a branding tool for us. It's also basically the written book version of our course. So it's a sales tool to lead into the course. But I still know there's a ton of, and it's not so much about making the sales from Amazon. It's more about the fact that if we can get someone to buy it and consume it, then they're likely going to go from a $20 purchase to a $3,000 purchase,
Completely. Yeah.
So call it a tripwire too, if you will. It also gives us something to hand out to people, and we'll talk about it too when it comes to publishing, but I know you can publish physical versions of these books too. So it gives it kind of an official feel that we can send to people, new customers, things like that. But we already joked about it a few times that I've been writing this book for 3 years, and we talked about it 2 years. We talked about a publishing strategy 2 years ago, and finally, it got time for us to shit or get off the pot. And I hired a company, someone that I know very well. We paid good money for it. I 100% know that it will turn around, not just in breaking even on sales, but also as taking the overall brand and everything else further. But do you have any recommended, for people in my position and situation who might be watching this, are like, that's great. I would love to publish a book, maybe make some extra income, make some extra sales for my agency, whatever, but I don't have the time, or I'm a terrible writer. Do you have any companies that you recommend for outsourcing, or how would somebody go about getting a book written that has no time or no skills?
Yeah, there are a couple out there. I know Scribe Media does a good job of it, especially for like a nonfiction. And they used to be called Book in a Box. That's Tucker Max's company, and I get why they changed the name. But they've done a lot of famous books too. Like what was that? Can't Hurt Me Now. David Gogren's book, phenomenal. They've done a lot of big name books, and they're incredible opportunity. They have different levels that are out there. They're the only one that I know for sure. I've seen a couple pop up and then disappear. But yeah, I'm curious too. Like, I would love to know your experience. Email me how it goes in the end, because like I said, I've only heard from them for Scribe Media. With regards to your book, by the way, one of the things that I recommend is, what was it? Ryan Levesque had a book. Wow, the name of it escapes me. I'm gonna have to. We'll put it in the show notes because I'll have to look it up again. But he sells it, and one thing I recommend people do is read it just to see how he forms the book to make the bigger sale later. He's even made the book free now. It was a bestseller, huge bestseller, and boy, that's gonna bother me that I can't remember the name of it. It's his most popular book, whatever. But every chapter has an opportunity for you to sign up to see a new case study. Like, for example, it's always something different he's offering. So it's like, you could have signed up for his Cliff Notes at the beginning, Maybe
Yeah.
you disregarded that. Then you're reading in chapter 1. He's like, oh, if you'd like to see another case study of such and such, be sure to go to this link and download that case study. Hey, would you like to see the graphs of such and such? Download this. Hey, we interviewed so-and-so, the person we just quoted. If you'd like to see the full interview, go here. And so, like, to an extent, it does get a bit annoying. And if Ryan's listening, sorry, man. No disrespect there, but it's pretty hardcore. I can't imagine he is not converting like crazy. So he uses his book as the gateway into his email list. And by reading him, you gain more trust. But it is the things he does behind that where he sells his big time course, his big time service, and then smaller products in case he didn't get you with those other two. That can be an incredible strategy. And I highly recommend that you lace inside of your book multiple opportunities and multiple things. I may hate video. I may not want to watch that video, but I'd love to read another case study that proves this thing you just talked about. Or I'd love to see this, this template or get access to that template you mentioned. I'm a template guy. You never know what kind of person is. So have the different opportunities in there and you will catch them at some point, especially if they're reading the book. Another thing that I would recommend too is, so I worked with Pat Flynn, and for those of you guys who don't know, he runs Smart Passive Income. And when he came out with his book, Will It Fly? One of the things that he developed was he developed a free course that was like a companion course to the book. And he had it right at the beginning of his book, hey, this is to help you. You can still just read the book if you want, and it will help you, but this will give you even more so. He told me that 1/3 of every person who bought his book signed up for his course. And from that course, okay, I think this is what really happened was people read the book, loved it. They did the course. It was really awesome seeing Pat on the screen. Pat, and I think they gained more trust with Pat. Pat then created an advanced course, a next step up. That was a paid course. He sold that course to just the people that signed up from his book. And on that weekend alone, he made $132,000. And he made that number public. So I can put that out there. But that was just by taking these people and giving them the next step. So he looked at it as a book, small course, and then bigger course. And the conversion rates were just excellent. So, and if you can create a companion course or something like that, you will see even higher conversion rates.
Yeah, that's what we've done. I have to review the book. My only concern with the book is that it's a little bit too down in the weeds and not enough kind of stories and strategy. But we've every chapter in there has a giveaway. Check out the video for more information type stuff. I actually thought I kind of agree with you. I thought it was going to be too much, but at the same time, like somebody told me that Grant Cardone also did a good job with that, and I skimmed through his book, and his whole book is a preamble for micro investments in real estate. But I mean, he's got
about right.
In assets now, and I heard that a large part of it came from like that book, which made it to the New York Times bestselling list. You know what I mean? So it definitely works. Okay, so we've now got a book ideated based on keywords, done some research, or based on brand, whatever. We've now got it written. We found some ways to get it written. Now, what about publishing? So are there any nuances? You kind of alluded to it, I guess, kind of like the on page of Amazon. Like, is there anything that we need to know when we're uploading the book? Also, too, if you can talk about formatting too, like audiobooks, hardcover books, what we can do with all that and how we can do that, because that's something I'm super interested in as well.
Yeah. Okay. So first off, I just want to say I quickly looked up. It was Ryan Levesque's book called Ask. So that we were talking about, and that one's A, it's a great book, but B, I think he structured it for maximum conversion rate. All right. So with that said, when you go to publish your book, like we talked about, you're going to have to choose your 7 Kindle keywords, and there's a lot to that. My recommendation is that, when you go to those 7 boxes, Amazon says you can do 50 characters per box. So some people ask, should I just put my keyword phrase and then leave the rest of the characters open, or should I fill it in with as many words? We did a major study to figure out the right answer for this. And if anybody wants to learn more, they could just type into Google 7 Kindle keywords, and there's the entire study. But the quick and easy on this, and the results were, if you put more words into that box, you will index for a lot more phrases. As a matter of fact, Amazon takes all the different combinations of those words inside that box, and you index for them if it exists as a search term. So that is one thing. However, though, your initial ranking right from the get-go is a lot lower, because I think my interpretation of this is your density, your keyword density is a lot less. So what I recommend to people is that as they do their keyword research, if they find one particular phrase that they absolutely love, or hopefully they find a couple, then put that exact phrase into that Kindle box. That's it. However, though, for the rest of them, fill in all the other different versions of words or the other grouping of words. Okay. That I believe will give you the maximum, bang for your buck in that respect.
And those would be written as keywords or like sentences, phrases. Like, should we think of those like YouTube tags type thing?
YouTube tags, yeah. I think the key is really what does your customer type, right, into Amazon. And it's so like Amazon will tell you, please don't reuse words that are in your title or subtitle or whatever. We saw nothing that makes them change their mind about it. But I will say this, the words that are in your title and subtitle have a lot more bang than the 7 Kindle keywords. So when you're looking at keyword research, do 2 things. Number 1, yep, as SEOers, we got it. Those keywords really help for you to show up. But really, remember, these truly are the words that your target market is typing into Amazon when they're looking for a book to sell. Use that information for a couple things. Number 1, let me compare Google and Amazon here. When somebody types something into Google, the only thing they have to really go off of is the title of the article, right? That's really it. The title, subtitle, right? I mean, that's it. And then they have the little blurb, which, let's face it, as Google's switching that crap around, it does nothing. Nobody's reading it anymore. Maybe there's some other little things, but really it's just the title of the tag that, and where it ranks. In books, though, the cover is king. What we did was we did a heat map on the, like we set this system where we had a whole bunch of people go into these computers that would monitor what they were looking at on the screen, where their eyes were. So we create our own Amazon heat map. And when people type in a term, the first thing they do is their eyes go to the covers and they scroll looking at the covers until they see one that interests them, and their eyes jolt up to the title and subtitle and then quickly dash down to the reviews, and they either click or they keep scrolling and their eyes go right back to the cover. Your cover, you have to understand, truly has to represent the imagery that the person believes in, okay, for their search term. I believe that in order to increase your conversion rate of people searching on Amazon, clicking on your book, and then deciding to buy it, is that your cover, title, and subtitle have to answer a couple of questions in the shopper's mind within seconds, or else you lose. And that is, what is this about? How will I benefit from it? And who is this for? If you can't show me your cover and your title and subtitle, and I can't quickly answer those 3 questions within seconds, and honestly, that's probably gracious. We should probably say half a second. Okay. You will not get this click. And if you don't get the click, Amazon's like, well, obviously this is not the book that we should be showing for that keyword. Okay. So that is huge. Those 3 things have to be answered by, so we get people who will create this book cover and it's like, oh, it's really cool. And the title, oh, that's a catchy, that's a interesting title. And sometimes they don't even put a subtitle in there. I'm like, okay, well, that looks cool, but I have no idea what this is. I have no idea how I benefit from this. I have no idea if this is for me. Maybe this is for old fogies. Maybe this is for, CEOs of giant corporations. Maybe this is for just the blogger. I have no idea. So am I going to waste my time and click? No, I'm a shopper. I'm a digital shopper. I'm going to keep scrolling. And so you lose out. So make sure that whatever your cover, title, and subtitle is, it answers those things. It's okay if you make a really symbolic white cover with an apple in the middle or some one piece of image, sure. But your title and subtitle better answer those 3 things. Or maybe it's obvious that your cover truly is about this thing because it spells it out. Then you don't need to rely on your title and subtitle as much. Okay, so that's probably the number 1 thing I can recommend to you guys for success in Amazon. If you can't get those 3 questions answered from those 3 things, you're sunk. No marketing tactic or anything I talked about here will help you.
In regards to cover designs, do you recommend, do you recommend hiring like a firm, an agency? Can you get someone off Fiverr? You just have to give them the right direction. Should it be in your experience, I guess, does imagery work better than like photorealistic imagery, like a picture of David and myself work better than, a cartoon or, an illustration, something like that?
I think you and David would work well on a cover if you were trying to sell to people who know who you are. If that is truly who the market is, then sure. You can maybe make yourself look, let's face it, if you guys are in your suits sitting next to the Lambo or something like that, which, okay, granted, that would be over the top, but you get what I'm trying to say, right? All
You
right.
never know.
Well, at least all of a sudden it puts you up there. The imagery of however you set up yourselves and the background could immediately say, oh, wow, I want to be this person. So I'm going to read this. I would not say that would work for high clientele.
Mhm.
I would say that might work for like dreamy eyed, I need to make $1,000, you know, kind of people or whatever. Sure. They'll buy into the dream, but I do not think you're going to get that with CEOs or whatever.
True.
Yeah.
It's very true. Yeah, I think this definitely gives, we had some books designed a while ago and I liked them because they're simple and clean and they match the branding, but
Yeah.
now
Great
we
stuff to chew on,
got to
Dave.
put some different thought into it. So
yeah, real quick, I just wanted to circle back to physical book versus just ebook. Do you have any quick pointers?
And audiobook too.
Formatting?
Is it worth me narrating it?
Yes, to the narrating question, but let's go to physical books. So physical books, if you publish on Amazon, you can easily create a KDP print version of your book, and that is a soft cover book. It's very effortless. It's easy. It's great. They're very well priced. However, though, if you're looking for a good hardcover book, like something legit, you may want to look at Ingram Spark. It might be a bit more expensive or so, but that will give you your hardcover.
Can you repeat that?
Ingram Spark.
Ingram Spark. Okay.
That's right. And they're actually out of here in Nashville. They are one of the major distributors. I like major distributors. That's not Amazon. And so they have a system, and that'll give you your hardcover or a good hardcover at a better price. If you're, and again, like there's another thing too that goes into it though. If you're a children's book or something, you have lots of colors, it's going to be a different one. So really, I think with your book, I think your best bet is to do KDP and KDP print, and maybe do a small batch for hardcovers through Ingram Spark. And you can connect all three. So, you know, your Amazon sales page will have your Kindle, your print book, your softcover book, and then you can connect your hardcover from Ingram into your Amazon. So then they can choose a hardcover, and then you're Audible. So you could have all four show up, and that's not a problem. So don't think that you have to go through Amazon in order to get those things. But I really do like Amazon's KDP print capability. It's much easier.
So would you recommend? Yeah, I'm looking at Ingram Spark now. I think it's more of an ego thing to have a hardcover book.
Yeah, not gonna lie, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
But definitely the soft cover, just because, like I said, I mean, the ability to have something tangible.
And it's easy to order your own copies so that you can hand it out to people, whether you're going to speak or whether or not you have somebody come into the office and you want to hand it to them like a business card.
Exactly.
That's an incredible ease. So
and is that print on demand, or is that buy in bulk and then it's print on demand?
Print on demand.
That's amazing, dude.
Oh, it's awesome, dude. I'm telling you, like, it makes life so much easier.
Yeah. Man, what a company, Amazon. Crazy.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. And I definitely planned on narrating too. It's good to hear that too. Just, I mean, mainly because I don't read. I have a slight case of dyslexia. So I listen and consume a lot. And I actually probably won't buy a book if they don't have the audio version, even if it's like the most amazing book, because I know I'm not going to read it, you know?
You know, it's funny is that I'm the same way. Like I get offered books all the time. I mean, when you're running Kindlepreneur, believe me, you get a lot. And I flat out will say, I will not read. Like I get to read probably one book a year, physically read. So your book needs to be like crazy the bomb for me to make that one the one for the year. But I tell people, it's like, well, if you want to send me an Audible, I can probably listen to that because I'm crushing those out. I work out listening to books.
Yeah, me too.
But my take on it is two things. Number one is if it's a fiction book, I don't read fiction anymore. I listen to fiction because these narrators are like actors and I mean, it's through the roof incredible what they do. So I enjoy books more. And so to me, it's worth $10 to listen to it while I work out and have it read faster at 2 times the speed. But with nonfiction, though, I actually enjoy, if I really, really want to learn a book, I will buy the physical book and I'll buy the Audible version of it. And so I'll let that person read at 2 times the speed while I'm literally reading the book with them and taking notes. But I mean, that's when I'm studying.
Yeah.
I've got a whole bunch of like software, business books and everything. And I want everything. Like I'm going through Lean Analytics and I'm just like, it looks like I'm scribbling a football play or something on the books, but I'm listening to it because it will get me there faster. But here's the thing though, from an audience perspective though, you're 100% right in saying that there are a lot of people out there who will not read a book. they're too busy. And if you're trying to talk to agencies, you're making a huge try to sale to get them to sit down and read your book.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can listen to your book while I'm driving into downtown Nashville, like, you got me. And so I think it's huge for you to absolutely do an Audible book. And I would also add in there too, is buy a very easy to remember domain name and make that the 301 redirect where they can sign up for whatever it is. So make it something small and quick and easy. Because if you're doing audio, make it like, SEOblue.com or something that easy that they could be like, oh, okay. And then they hear you say it over and over again. You'll be able to pound it in their head to the point they'll turn around and be like, all right.
Yeah.
So like, I made a free Amazon ads course. And so I bought the domain, or got the domain, amscourse.com. So when I'm on podcasts, I could just say, yeah, you could just sign up for my free video course at amscourse.com. And people remember it, because
that's really smart, man. That's really
so
smart.
Make sure to have that on Audible, or else you're going to lose the conversion rates on those people listening. You reading is important, because me hearing you makes me feel like I'm connected to you and I can trust you more. So if you're selling something else, that's huge. Where if you're having somebody else read for you, it's kind of like, well, what's he have to hide? That's not him. Or when I finally get to see you on your whiteboard or whatever, I'm like, that's not the dude I listen to.
Yeah.
I'm going to be perturbed.
Yeah. So Brian, this is kind of more your area, so let's dive into it. But I'm really curious now about just like starting off marketing strategy, right? Like, if you're a first-time author, are you running ads day one? Are you focusing on organic first, then using ads as kind of a backstop? How would you approach it?
Well, first off, I think it's really important that you have what is called a street team or an art team, whatever they want to call it. And this is a group of people, 10, 20, 30, heck, the more the better, where that they have gotten your book before you launch, that they've read it, or that they've read enough of it, or they know you well enough, and that they are totally ready to act upon your launch, okay? And the reason why you want this is because you want on the day that you launch it, you want people to drop reviews then and there, okay? Because if you send out an email, or if you do advertisement and you've got no reviews, there's no social proof. There's no, the customer is going to see that and probably not act because nobody else has, okay? So I would say the first thing that you really want to do is you want to make sure that you have people ready that will go there, leave a review, and build that trust, right? If on day one, Ryan drops that book and, oh my gosh, there's 25 5-star reviews, hey, your email, your blast, whatever tactics you do from that point on, they're going to have higher conversion rates because those things exist. One thing that I like to do personally is that I will launch it, say on day one, we'll call it day one. Okay. On day one, I'll launch it, but I'll launch it at like 99 cents. And then I'll tell my beta team, ARC team, launch team, street team, whatever you call it, all kind of the same. They have different flavors to the term, but either way, I'll tell the team, hey, it's 99 cents right now. I'm not making that, known publicly or so. So if you want to purchase it for 99 cents, that'd be awesome, because then that's a verified review. And so a lot of your street team will just go ahead and pay 99 cents and hook you up in that respect, and then that way all the reviews they leave are verified reviews. And by the way, the difference between a verified and unverified is if the person's account has bought it and then they leave a review, it's called verified. And if they haven't, aka you gave them a copy, like a PDF or whatever, then Amazon can't verify that they actually read it. That plays a bit in a couple of things. The stickiness of the review. It also plays into a bit of what Amazon calls popularity of the book as well, which helps in your rankings. So if you can convince them to do that, that's great. But then day two is when you do the official launch and you change the price back to like $2.99 or whatever you're going to price it at. Then you start doing your launch tactics. One thing that I'd highly recommend is, I'm sure, Ryan, you've got a very extensive email list. Okay. You probably have, from all of your hardcore work over the years, you've built an authority and a following in some cases. One thing I highly recommend is that you do not email everybody on your email list or, mobilize your entire following on day one. You should spread it out over a week. I like to create cohorts on my email list. So I'll email like 1/4 on day one, another 1/4 of my email on day 3, or excuse me, actually it'd be 2 and then 4, because remember, day one we do the special price. And I will break it out that way, because what Amazon sees is continuous sales, not just one giant spike. we did actually some research where we were able to play with a whole bunch of books. It was really cool. And we were able to monitor the difference between a sales spike and continuous sales. Say, for example, within 1 week, somebody sells 1,000 books on day one and no books after that. Okay. What we saw was their organic rankings had a little bit of an up and then it quickly went down. Okay. Their popularity, as we call it in Amazon's eyes, went down significantly. However, though, if in 7 days somebody sold 1,000 books and it was spread out evenly over those 7 days, their organics went up way higher. Same amount of books. However, though, consistency is king in Amazon's popularity eyes. If you can consistently show that you're relevant and popular, Amazon will say to themselves, oh, we should show up more often. Let's show up for this term over here and these terms over here that we believe are connected. And you will benefit from that more so. So as you build out your marketing tactic for your book launch, think about spreading your efforts out, whatever they be, whether that's email, social media, having people mention it, networking, etc., email blasts from your friends, something of that magnitude. Spread them out methodically so that you have that. Then finally, as you start to get to a point where your efforts are starting to lose momentum, you have no other tricks up your sleeve except for maybe a couple more. That's when you want to implement your Amazon advertisements, because then you're starting to put money into keeping sales consistency going beyond your efforts. And that's when you're going to see long-term solid kind of sustainability.
So Dave, in regards to that street team, does it have to be like people in the industry, or could it be like your mom, your dad? Could it just be like anyone? Does the number of reviews that account have matter? Right? Like if everyone's just creating an Amazon account that day, or like my mom has never even bought a book on Amazon, she buys mine and then reviews it, does that affect the algorithm too?
So first off, it can't be family or friends that Amazon believes you're connected to. Okay. Amazon will immediately delete.
How would they determine that?
Well, you guys are, you probably shipped things to your mom before. Maybe you bought her a present.
Gotcha.
Maybe you guys were at the same, you had the same address at some point, maybe same IP address. There is a lot of kind of confusion around what will get your book review removed. And I can't say anything definite. So that's one thing we're going to do here is anytime I do not know the real answer for, I'm going to make sure to stomp my foot so I don't perpetuate that. Well, Dave Chesson said this, so this is fact. All right. Here's my belief on how reviews happen. I believe Amazon has a automatic system that takes certain things into account, and there's a threshold. And when those things taken into account go above this threshold, it just automatically removes it. Okay, so it's not just one thing. It could be a couple of things combined that cause a review to be removed. I'm sure there are some hardcore ones like it's your mother, so and they know this. You bought her something, so obviously your friends. So that'll get it removed automatically. But there are other things out there that people believe will increase your chances for a review to be removed. That's the thing with friends. Like I've had a friend who left a review and it didn't work. Then I had somebody who I was totally close with. Heck, we even lived, we were roommates in college, and theirs is still there. So I'm like, I can't say. But one thing for sure is they pretty much nailed your family. Like you getting your mom, your wife, anybody, to do that, nah, not going to happen. So that's one thing. Another couple of things that I believe that do affect whether or not a review sticks is how many times the person has reviewed. Okay. So if this person reviews like 5 things a day, aka you found them on Fiverr, there's no way they're reading 5 books a day, yeah, their stuff's going to get taken down. And if it doesn't get taken down on the first day, believe me, it'll get taken down maybe after day 20. And by the way, if you have a lot of those happen, there's a good chance Amazon could shut down your account. Like they could just be like, obviously you're buying reviews, and boom, ban hammer. Okay. So be careful about that. And I would not try that. So anybody out there listening, don't go to Fiverr. Don't do it. You are really raising your threshold for a ban hammer. Another thing that I think that plays into it too is this strategy that is called the super URL. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it for Amazon.
Nope.
All right. So the belief is this. If anybody wants to read more into this, they can just go to Google and type in Amazon Link Anatomy, and an article where I break down all the different things that goes inside of an Amazon link will kind of help you to really see the building blocks. But let's jump to this one part. If you go to Amazon and you type in a search phrase, and then you scroll and you click on a book, okay? And we'll call that search phrase the keyword, okay? They type in a keyword, they scroll, and they click. there are some really important parts to that link structure at the top. The first is you have your bare URL, okay, which goes all the way up to the ASIN number, which is Amazon's equivalence of an ISBN. Then they have a checksum. And a checksum is their way of saying, okay, at this specific time, this book ranked on the second page, 3 down for that keyword. And then finally, they have what's called the QID number, which is the number of seconds since 1970. So they have a timestamp, they have a checksum, and they have the keyword that you use to find it, okay? Now, back in the day, people thought, hey, if you want to rank #1 in Amazon, all you have to do is do a search for your book for the keyword you want to rank for, find your book, click it, and then send that exact link to Amazon so that when people click on your link and go to buy it, Amazon is stupid enough to think, oh, wow, that person did that keyword search and then they bought this book. And,
like branded search.
Right. So the idea was that would work. Well, that does not work. More importantly, I think that it does one more thing to link you to the book, to the person who purchased it, which means that you are endangering your reviews. So if you want to send a link to somebody to purchase your book, please do not do a search for your book, find it, and then take that link and send it. Get the bare URL, which is like DP/ASIN number, and that's it. So Amazon.com DP/ASIN.
So we're coming to the end here. I just wanted to go back to marketing. And if you could give me like kind of a high points checklist of the things that you think that we should do. So you already covered, which I think is awesome, is basically like garnering your inner circle, right? Going to people who I know would be more than willing to pay $1 for it and leave a review. Yep. And reply and get it done that day, right? That's also important, is not relying on people who don't check their email and will get to it in a week or two, like people that we can rely on, right?
100%. And to make sure that you can rely on them, you have to get very personal with it. Do not put people on a giant email list and blast an email. Write individualized emails and make it apparent that you're truly and personally counting on them. They can be great friends, but believe me, people just get busy and they just assume, well, he's got enough, so he probably doesn't need me. Make it personal.
Dave, partner David, we should have maybe Andre start going through and pinging people on Slack or maybe we can do it too, but just building a list of people that we can ping on Slack to then get them to email and be like, hey, we're going to send you an email on this date, blah, blah, blah. Okay. That's awesome. That's super helpful. And then basically off the back of that too would be to then leverage your larger community. So sending out emails maybe once a day based on list segments for as long as we could stretch that out, right?
Exactly.
And that would be number 2. And the goal there is, again, for purchases. And I also remember a while ago we talked about pricing. This is actually something that I think ties into marketing, because we talked about pricing. You talked about dropping the price all the way down to increase conversion rates on it, right? So like I remember you mentioned like the first week when you're sending it to your people, drop it down so you know that they'll purchase, they'll support, maybe even making it free, I think is what you told me. I don't know if that still applies.
Free's not as applicable anymore. Amazon used to allow that momentum from free to carry on to when it's paid. It's not so much anymore. So I would not, don't use that recommendation anymore. Okay.
But if we priced it, let's say I was thinking $19.99 would be our standard everyday price, and maybe drop it down to $4.99 for launch. Would Amazon see that as too much of a
probably for the ebook, you need it to be $9.99. Because Amazon forces your pricing range to be at a certain point, because if you price it between $2.99 and $9.99, you get 70% of the royalties. But if you price it outside of that, either way, you only get 30%. So you'll actually make less money at a pricing point of $19.99 than you would at $9.99.
Wow. So $9.99. So $9.99 is the price. No questions asked.
For ebook, yeah.
Okay.
Don't go above that.
Quite a system.
Yeah. Well, that way they're not having people like create these crazy prices. It's Amazon's way to force it. Now, publishers, you could see get away with it. You'll see a $16.95 book. Well, it's Stephen King's ebook, but the publishing company has a special deal with Amazon to do that. And so we do not get that, and most publishers do not get that. So, if anybody listening here goes to small publishing, like, sweet, now I can price it at $16.95, probably not. No.
And it just real quick, is there a difference in Amazon? If I'm in Amazon searching for SEO help, right? SEO training, right? And I'm searching that in Amazon. is there a difference between traditionally published books and ebooks, or they all get filtered in the same search result?
All filtered in the same search
That's
result.
amazing. What a
Yep.
time to be alive, huh?
Yeah, the publishers are really, they're taking note. I would say years ago, the publishers used to like hate and stick their nose up in the air at stealth publishers, and they thought it was ruining the system. Now they're like, ah, crap, we got to figure this out because Amazon's obviously not going to go anywhere. So they're getting more involved. A lot of them are getting really smart and recruiting successful self-published authors because, hey, this person's proven they can write and they have a following. So much easier to make money with that person than some no name that just showed up with a good book, or, you know, quote unquote good book. So yeah.
Understood. And then just to wrap this marketing process. So we'll send it to our list, drip that out, price it at $9.99. That's I'm glad we covered that. It's very important.
We'll
after that,
our way.
Traditional social media sharing, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. We're going to put it on our website where it can live in perpetuity. And then after that, you said that's when Amazon ads can be effective. So even at that price point, our app, you can still arbitrage at $9.99, or is that more just to kind of get, like, what is like the average conversion rate? That means you got to basically convert one out of every 10 people. Well, actually, that's assuming the click is $1. I don't know.
Yeah, the click is not going to be $1. Click could be like 16 cents.
Per click. Facebook, man, Google.
Well, yeah, Amazon, like I could do a whole thing on the difference between Facebook and Amazon ads. They're interesting and they're both very different. You have to remember with Amazon ads is that you're selling to people who've already decided they want to buy something, right? That's way easier than on Facebook ads where you're trying to get the guy to stop looking at the angry lady and cat picture, you know, meme, click on something, go to a different platform, decide to buy right then and there and buy your book. That's a lot of steps. So Amazon ads is really good. It still has issues, but again, you're selling to people who want to buy something.
And we can just leave those running in perpetuity then, right?
Bingo. But Amazon ads are not like Facebook where you can just set them and forget them. Amazon ads requires a lot of constant tweaking and work, or else otherwise you'll just lose impressions. So just something to kind of consider. I think in your area, you can set up kind of some ads that will continue to run for you because of what you're doing and where you're at. But that's not always going to be the case for most authors.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll have to seek out some consulting help for setting those ads up, because that's definitely something I'm interested in. I mean, that's just a whole new base of customers that we're not reaching with all of our other marketing, and obviously people that are self-qualifying and putting themselves in our market too.
Right. Well, one thing you may want to consider too, though, is that I know that you talked about your book being $9.99 for Kindle. But if your ultimate goal is to get people to purchase the book and then to potentially pay for either your services or your course, you may want to consider a lower price in that respect because you want to get them. Now, I think that you want to come across as being legitimate, and a higher price usually brings that around. But perhaps $5.99 might be much better. It shows that you're cut above the rest on most of the so-called people who wrote an SEO book because they did some SEO. And like if you price it at $5.99, you must be better. But you're also not at a point where you're the most expensive ebook they can possibly find either. So something to really consider. And I think that really comes down to how much do you believe in your ability to convert that reader into a potential client down the road.
Yeah. I mean, I look at it also too, as just kind of like what we're paying on Facebook or to acquire a customer, or YouTube ads to acquire a customer, or to acquire a lead. I really consider that it's a very strong lead. Like if somebody's going to buy the book and they're actually going to read it, then they're 100%. I feel like if you pay for something, you're already more prone to take action. And then also if you consume something, especially something that is good, and that's kind of like the underlying theme here, the book has to be good. If the book's if the book is shit, then all this is for naught.
It's going to be negative PR.
So assuming that the book is quality, then 100%, I think that, you know, I would even take a loss on the acquisition of that person, just because, like a significant loss on the acquisition from Amazon ads, depending on how the book perform. Obviously, but that's easy to track too. We can track the 3-1 redirects, and we can just track and see how that performs through analytics. So
you can look through just your email list that's developed from people, you know, picking up your content upgrade from the book. And then you can look at how much they convert, whether it's on the sale or affiliate or whatever. So I think that's really important. All right, so just kind of recap, because I know we're coming up to a close, is we talked about doing your keyword research before, during, and after, how that affects and helps depending on whether if you're a new writer or you're in the middle of writing or you're about to publish, keywords can help. Remember the 3 things that you need to answer with your cover, title, and subtitle is those 3 questions, which is, you know, who's this for? what it will do, what is this about, and how will I benefit from it? If you can't answer those, all these marketing tactics we're talking about right now are for naught. The other thing is that when you go to publish your book, make sure to have people ready. Make sure to get those reviews. Make sure to, on day one, you actually have a lot of reviews instead of nothing, or else you will have super low conversion rates on your giant email blast. Matter of fact, if you don't get enough reviews that you think is worthy, then don't send out the email. You're going to see lower return on your investment. Then make sure to structure out all of your marketing tactics over time so that you're showing consistency in sales, and then beef it up with Amazon ads at the end. One last thing that I highly recommend doing too, we have a whole, I'm telling you, my favorite article that I ever wrote was how to get free book reviews. And I think if you Google it, it should be 1 or 2 or whatever. It's got an incredible list. I highly recommend a couple of tactics for you. And I know we're getting near time, but I think this is really important. First off, at the end of your book, make sure to humanize yourself. Okay. At the end of your book, have this, from the author or whatever, ask for the review. Okay. There's a whole style point to this, but remind the reader that you're a human with feelings, that you've accomplished great things. There's a way that you can work it so you're not lowering your legitimacy, okay, or become, but you want the reader to remember that reviews help. They mean a lot to you as a writer. You care. You're human. And what you're going to see is you're going to see higher number of organic reviews coming in and better grades. If they were pissed and they got to the end, you're going to soften their blow, and they're going to realize that you want to. I have a whole bunch of strategies to learn exactly how you should put it in there. A second thing that I highly recommend, which is a really awesome option, is that after your book comes out, I highly recommend doing a King Sumo giveaway. Use King Sumo to create this raffle. You can either do it on social media or in an email. And what you do, and you got to follow every step in this one to make it legal with Amazon, okay, is that you basically say, hey, to enter this contest, click this link. That's it. And you're in the contest. But that link takes this person automatically to, and I tell you how to build this link, to where they can leave a review to your book, okay? So all these people will just click the link, and they'll end up seeing your review page, as in all they have to do is start typing in and adding a review. Then you say, hey, this is going to take you to my, the review of my book. If you've read it or, my work, just go ahead and leave a review. That's cool. But just understand you're already entered. By wording it that way, you're going to be compliant with Amazon. You do not break any of their terms. You're going to have a whole bunch of people leaving reviews because, well, they're already on the page. Might as well type something in. I mean, they like you, right? Or they love your work, or they follow you, or whatever. You're going to get that. And then you have some giveaway, something that you give, but it's another way for you to talk about your book. Maybe you got somebody to the review and, well, they hadn't bought your book yet, but you got them there. Now they can just buy the book as well. I think that will insanely increase the number of reviews you have with one thing you give away. So I love that tactic. It's huge. You can put it in an email. You can even set it up on your social media, whatever. But I think that will drive in more reviews than anything else that you do.
Awesome. David, do you have any more questions for Dave?
No, that super inspirational, Dave. I feel like I just took in so much information on Amazon that I just had no idea about.
Yeah, this is really awesome, Dave. I appreciate this. I look at this as like a free consulting session for us. I genuinely appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Well, we've been longtime friends, so it's just been really cool to see what you've done and how much you've accomplished over the time. David, it's really great to meet you. Look forward to chat more in the future.
Dave, why don't you give a final sign off where people can find you, how to pay for your software, all the above.
Yeah. You can find me at Kindlepreneur. That's like Kindle Entrepreneur, kindlepreneur.com. And my software is publisherrocket.com.
Awesome. All right, Dave, thanks.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye, guys.